Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Peculiarstars Lifestyle Network. I remain your host, Emmanuel, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance of thinking about the outcomes of our actions, both the good and the bad one. So let's dive into a discussion on studying consequences. Now, it is very important to acknowledge a basic truth. Every decision we make, no matter how big or small, has consequences, and these consequences can be either positive or negative, depending on the choices we make. That's why it is very crucial to take a moment and reflect on the potential outcomes before taking action. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't think about the consequences before acting? What happened as a result? Please kindly share your experiences with us in the comment section. You see, sometimes you might wonder why people don't consider the possible outcomes of their decisions. We've all had stories and we've seen experiences that should have taught us something. So when we witness someone making mistakes that others have already made in the past, it makes us wonder what's really going on. I understand that we often strategize, plan, and even pray, but sometimes things don't turn out as expected. When we talk about consequences, it's not always about what is likely to happen, but rather what will happen. If we were lucky, the undesired consequences might not occur. So, it's funny how we live in a world where many people don't think about the consequences until they actually happen. And you see, that's why we see a lot of people driving recklessly, despite knowing that the consequence could be an accident. Just the other day, I saw a video of a fuel tanker that had overturned on social media, and people were still boldly trying to collect fuel from it, even though there have been cases of people getting burned in similar situations. I don't know if we are blinded by something or if we simply refuse to learn. So let me know your thought about this in the comment section. Is it that people just refuse to learn from the realities that they've seen, or they are just blinded by something? I believe that the stories we've had and the experiences we've witnessed should serve as lasting lessons for us. There are some mistakes we shouldn't make. This is actually just my personal view, but I really encourage you all to share your thoughts in the comment section. You see, it's really disheartening to see someone fall into the same problems that others have faced before. So before you do anything, take a moment to think about it and ask yourself, is this the kind of life I want for myself? When you ask yourself important questions like this, your actions will likely align with your goals, and you will be able to ignore anything that doesn't serve your interests. Personally, I believe that sometimes it's not about debating whether something is a sin or not. Instead, it's important to consider the consequences of our actions. For instance, smoking or drinking alcohol may not be considered sin, but they have negative effects on our health. And ultimately, it's not right to, harm yourself. Premarital sex also has consequences. When you think about the potential outcomes, you might reconsider engaging in it. Being intentional about your actions makes it easier to take responsibility for them because you have thought them through regardless of the consequences. Let me ask you, can you think of a time in your life when you consciously thought about the potential consequences before making a significant decision? I'd love to hear your examples in the comment section. I truly believe that education plays a very important role in understanding the consequences of our actions. When you are educated and constantly learning, you become familiar with things you may not have known before. This knowledge helps you make better choices when you need to. So how do you think education and continuous learning helps us understand the consequences of our actions? I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comment section. You see, here is also an important point. Love shouldn't blind us to the consequences of our actions, especially when it comes to relationship and marriage. Let's say you love someone deeply, but you decide to marry them even though you are not compatible, maybe due to genetic factors. In that case, you have to be prepared to face the consequences, because love doesn't change the natural consequences of our decisions. If you believe there is something else that could do, it's advisable you reconsider before putting yourself into trouble. What do you think about the idea that love shouldn't blind us to the consequences of our actions? especially in relationships and marriage. I'd love to hear your perspectives. You see, even in business, it's important to consider everything and be prepared for any potential consequences. When you know the likely outcomes of your actions, you will be less prone to heartbreak because you are already prepared for it. People may envy you and think you are perfect, but it's simply because you have studied the consequences. Suppose you decide to smoke cigarette, as I said earlier, even though you are aware of the health risks. By not considering the consequences beforehand, you might face severe health issues, like a shorter life expectancy and a decreased quality of life. So it's very important to realize that choices we make today can greatly impact our future selves. Imagine you find yourself in a relationship and unintentionally become a parent while still in school. Let's say a secondary school, for example. If you haven't thought about the potential consequences, this situation can create significant challenges because it is very difficult, balancing parenting responsibilities, education, and even personal growth can be extremely demanding. Understanding the consequences beforehand can help you make more informed choices. So the key point here is that always think before you act. Take a moment and pause to consider how your choices may play out in the long run. By studying these consequences, you can make informed decisions that align with your values and goals. If you value living your best life and recognize that you only have one life to live, you won't settle for less and make unnecessary mistakes. In the past, our parents didn't know about many things that we do now. Times have changed and we can't live as they did in the olden days, when people were unaware of certain realities. Now, I want to emphasize that studying consequences doesn't mean avoiding risk or opportunities. It's about being aware of the potential outcomes and weighing them against your desired result. Sometimes taking risk can lead to great rewards, but it's important to make those choices consciously. Remember that it's never too late to start studying consequences, whether you are facing a tough decisions or reflecting on past choices. Taking the time to understand the potential outcomes can empower you to make better choices and move forward. So let's commit to studying the consequences and living a life filled with intention, responsibility, and fulfillment. That's all for today's discussion, and I hope you found our conversation insightful. If you did, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Bye for now.